Hey, Michael.
Hey,
How's it
CJ.
going?
What's going on? How are you?
I'm great. Do you have a minute for Mentor Mondays?
Yeah, let's do it. Why
All
not?
right, let's do it. Let's start with an easy one. As a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh, as a kid, it's funny. My mom would always say, "You're going to do something in math," and I kind of knew that really early. So I knew as a kid I wanted to do something in math, or kind of numbers related. But it wasn't until I got to high school that I realized that I think I want to do something in accounting or finance, and here I am right now.
How would you describe what it is that you do now?
So my day job, I'm the CFO for the Las Vegas Raiders. I oversee, the financial matters of the organization. That goes from looking backward at how we performed, financially, but also looking forward, forecasting, things that we can do in the future, and making plans for capital spending that we need to do, or just day-to-day operating expenses.
What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned in business or in life?
Wow, that's a big question, business and in life. I think from a business standpoint is just having high integrity, high morals, high moral character when it comes to approaching business. I think people need to know, especially in a position of finance where you're dealing with very large numbers, people need to know that they can trust and the things that you're presenting to them, that, you're doing things the correct way, following, certain rules that we have in place as well. So I think having high moral character and high integrity is a really big piece too, for me.
What are some key traits that a leader should have?
Key traits leaders should have, obviously, like I talked about, the high moral character. But I think in addition to that, for me, leading my team, I think a high level of empathy. For me, I try to understand who my people are, not just as employees of mine, or just who they are personally. I'll never know everything about them, but just something, that makes them, I guess, more human than just being an employee of mine. And that helps when you're in the trenches with folks, and that helps to, understand what might be making them tick. If there's something going on at work, that maybe, you're not getting the most out of them that you've normally seen, trying to understand that piece as well. So having a lot of empathy for folks is a really big piece for me that I do.
What are you looking forward to in the future?
In the future, that's easy. I work for a football team. If my future plans were not for us to win a Super Bowl, it would be crazy. But right now, we are hosting the Super Bowl next year. We're hosting the Super Bowl 58 at Allegiant Stadium. How cool would it be if we were playing in the Super Bowl? Not say if we were, when we are playing in the Super Bowl next year, to do it in our home stadium and win it on our home field. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the future.
How do you stay motivated when faced with a challenge?
Wow, when there's a challenge. Good question. When I have a challenge, I think I tend to look at challenges that I've faced before and challenges that sometimes seemed insurmountable at the time. There's been so many different times in my career I've been fortunate enough that, I just have had big things come up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're going to get through this thing. But they've always worked out. They've always somehow come along and worked themselves out. And so whenever I'm in the middle of a challenge today, I'm always just thinking, we'll get through this thing. And I got to stay calm, and I got to stay collected, because I know that my team and even the other folks that I work with that are not on my team are looking at me kind of as a gauge as to, how we're going to get through this thing. So as much as possible, I try to stay calm and just think back on other situations that have happened and how we've gotten through that, and just know and be confident that we're going to get through this situation as well.
What's the most important question to ask a mentor?
I tend to ask my mentors, other mentors that they might suggest that I interact with. But I also ask, what book, what periodical, are you using to motivate yourself? How do you stay current? Because you can get very stale in your career. And that's just always been a good question for me when I ask my mentors.
How are you staying current right now?
I read a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I read a lot of books. Right now, I'm just finishing up a book, Atomic Habits. But yeah, typically, I run as a hobby. That's kind of one of the ways that I kind of disconnect from work. And I do a lot of audiobooks when I'm doing my running, just to kind of stay current.
Alrighty, Michael. Thank you for sharing some of your time and wisdom with us today.
CJ, thanks for coming out. Good to
Thank
see
you so much. All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.